This story is titled, My Golden Boy Brother Unlocked My House with His Own Key, Mocked Me as Pathetic, and Urged My Girlfriend to Leave Me for Someone Stronger, meaning himself. She threw my belongings out while laughing, so I destroyed their lives. Now she's desperately texting and calling me 25 times. Hey Reddit, I'm 30 years old, and I should have seen this coming from miles away. All those times when Olivia's phone would light up and she'd quickly flip it over. The way she'd laugh just a little too hard at my brother's jokes during family dinners. Her sudden interest in my work schedule. Looking back, the signs were all there, but I was too blind to see them. I had been with Olivia for 18 months. I've known my brother Marcus my whole damn life. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd be typing this out at 3:47 a.m., sitting in some cheap Days Inn with half my belongings stuffed in trash bags beside me. Some background is needed here. I'm Nathan, 30 years old. My brother Marcus, 34, has always been the golden child in our family. He's tall, built like he stepped out of a gym commercial, has a fancy corporate job with a company car, and possesses that annoying confidence that makes people either worship him or want to punch him in the face. I've mostly been in the punch him category throughout our lives, but he's still my brother, right? Olivia, 27, and I met at my friend's New Year's party last year. She's the kind of pretty that made me double-check my reflection before every date for the first 3 months. She's smart too, with her marketing degree and perfect Instagram captions. Sometimes I'd catch her looking at me with an expression that seemed surprised we were together. I should have paid more attention to that look. Last Thursday seemed completely normal. My morning shift at the architectural firm ended early because of server problems, so I texted Olivia that I'd be home by 4 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock. She didn't respond, but I didn't think much of it. Her notifications are always messed up. At least that's what she always claimed. I got home at 3:52 p.m. and heard voices coming from our bedroom. At first I thought maybe she was on a call or something, but then I heard Marcus's laugh. It was that same laugh from when we were kids and he'd steal my stuff. I stood in the hallway like an idiot, just listening. Nathan's never going to get anywhere, I heard Marcus say. He's been at the same place for 5 years. No ambition, no spine. That was my brother in my apartment talking about me. I know, it's getting old, Olivia replied. He's sweet, but... Her voice trailed off. Sweet is for desserts, not men, Marcus said. You need someone who can actually take care of you, someone who knows what they're doing. But in life, in bed, I should have kicked down the door right then and there. Instead, I just pushed it open. It wasn't even locked. Marcus was sitting on our bed, not touching her or anything dramatic like that. It was worse somehow. They were just talking, completely comfortable with each other. Olivia had her legs crossed, leaning toward him. My brother's arm was stretched across the headboard, my headboard, like he owned the place. They both looked up at me, and there wasn't a hint of guilt on either of their faces. Just annoyance at being interrupted. The hell is this? My voice came out higher than I wanted, and I already felt like I was losing ground. Marcus smiled that smile. The one from when we were kids and he'd beat me at something. Hey, little bro. Thought you were working late. Equipment failure, I replied tersely. Why are you in my bedroom? Olivia sighed like I was a child interrupting an adult conversation. We were just talking, Nathan. About me? About how I have no spine? That's when Marcus stood up. He's 4 inches taller than me. Always has been, always will be. Look, someone needed to tell her the truth, he said. You've been dragging her down. She deserves better. Better like you? I shot back. You're engaged, remember? To Victoria. He laughed. He actually laughed. Victoria understands how things work. We have an arrangement. Olivia stood up too, arms crossed defensively across her chest. Nathan, this isn't working, she said bluntly. It hasn't been for months. I looked at her, really looked at her. 18 months of my life gone just like that. So you discussed this with my brother instead of me? I asked, my voice steady despite the churning in my stomach. Because he actually listens, she replied, throwing her hands up in frustration. He understands what a woman needs. Marcus walked toward me and put his hand on my shoulder. I wanted to break his fingers one by one. Nathan, you've always been like this, he said in that condescending tone he's perfected over the years. Comfortable with mediocrity? Content with the scraps? It's in your DNA, man. You're a weakling. Always have been. Some guys are meant to follow. Some are meant to lead. I shoved his hand off my shoulder. Get out of my apartment, Olivia laughed. She actually laughed at me. This is my apartment too, she reminded me. And actually, I think you should be the one to leave. My brain couldn't process what was happening. This had to be some kind of twisted nightmare. We're done, Nathan, she continued, her voice cold. I'm not wasting any more time with someone who's going nowhere. I looked from her to Marcus and back again. Are you two? Marcus shrugged with that half smile I've hated since we were kids. She needs a real man. I'm just pointing out the obvious. Something in me snapped then, but not in the way where I threw punches. That's what he wanted. No, something colder, clearer. For the first time, I saw them both perfectly for who they truly were. How long? I asked. Olivia rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. Nothing's happened yet. But Marcus is right. You're never going to change. You're going to clock in and out of that office for the next 30 years and call it a life. Marcus checked his watch. The Rolex our Uncle Timothy got him for his 30th birthday. Look, this is awkward, but man to man, he said, as if we were discussing something trivial. Just pack your essential stuff and go. Give her some space. She's made her decision. I started grabbing things. My laptop, some clothes, photos of my parents. The whole time they just watched, occasionally whispering to each other, occasionally laughing like this was all some big joke to them. When my arms were full, Olivia tossed a couple of trash bags at me. Use these for the rest, she said coldly. I want your stuff gone by tomorrow. I didn't say anything. I just filled the bags while they watched. As I reached the door, Marcus called out, Hey, no hard feelings, right, bro? You'll find someone more your speed. I left without a word. I drove around for hours, eventually calling my buddy Chris, who let me crash on his couch that night. The next morning, I rented a motel room and started going through my stuff. That's when I found my old iPad in one of the bags. The one I stopped using months ago when I got a new one for Christmas. The iPad that was still logged into my iCloud. The iCloud that Olivia's phone backed up to because she was too cheap to pay for storage, and I'd added her to my account. The backup that contained all her messages. Turns out nothing's happened yet was a massive lie. They've been texting for months. It started innocently enough, Marcus asking how I was, Olivia complaining about me, then flirting, planning meetings while I was at work. The worst part wasn't even about her. The messages made it clear that this was about Marcus and his ego. Should have seen Nathan's face when I got the promotion last year. Same look he had when I took his bike when we were kids. Some people are just born to lose. Olivia. Lol, well that's mean. He tries hard. Marcus. Trying isn't the same as succeeding. Bet I could take you too if I wanted. Olivia. You're engaged. Marcus. Doesn't mean I can't show you what you're missing, what he'll never be, and on it went. I took screenshots of everything. More digging revealed that Marcus's big promotion with our Uncle Timothy's company was coming up next month. The engagement party with Victoria was in 2 weeks. The perfect life he'd been rubbing in my face for years. The life he was willing to risk just to take something from me again. They think I'm weak because I don't fight the way they do. Because I don't cheat and lie and manipulate. Because I'm content with what they consider scraps. But they've never seen me truly angry. Never understood that quiet doesn't mean weak. They want to see what I'm capable of? Fine. I'm sitting here in this shitty motel, looking at messages between my brother and my now ex, looking at photos of him and Victoria from her Instagram, looking at the company website where Uncle Timothy praises his integrity and character. I've spent my whole life letting Marcus take things from me. Not this time. He has no idea who he's messing with. Neither does Olivia. By this time next week, they'll both be begging me to pick up the phone. My brother always called me a weakling. Time to show him exactly how wrong he's been. First, thanks for all the support on my last post. Waking up to thousands of notifications was weird, but reading your comments actually helped me stay focused when I wanted to just drink myself stupid. For those just joining, my brother Marcus convinced my girlfriend Olivia I was a weakling, and she kicked me out of our apartment. I found their texts and decided to ruin them both. That's the TLDR. It's been 9 days since D-Day. 9 days of living in a motel with walls thin enough to hear the couple next door arguing about Call of Duty at 2 o'clock in the morning. 9 days of planning. This isn't about emotions anymore. It's surgery. The first thing I did was call in sick for 2 days. I needed a clear head. I spent those 48 hours organizing all the screenshots and information I had. I created a separate folder in Google Drive with backups of everything. Texts between them going back 5 months, pictures Olivia had sent him, conversations where they literally planned how to break us up. One text from Marcus stood out. Taking Olivia is just a bonus. Seeing Nathan's face when he realizes he lost again. That's the real prize. Like taking candy from a baby. Or in his case, a girlfriend from a loser LMAO. Around 4 a.m. on that second night, Sleepless and wired on cheap gas station coffee, I mapped out exactly what Marcus cared about most. His engagement to Victoria scheduled for next summer, his promotion at Uncle Timothy's company happening in 3 weeks, and his reputation in our family as the golden boy since birth. To break someone, you don't go for what they have. You go for what they value. I made contact with Victoria first. I texted her saying I needed her input on Marcus's bachelor party. Said I was thinking whiskey tasting versus craft brewery tour. She seemed surprised I was taking best man duties seriously with everything going on. I played dumb. She didn't push it. We met for coffee at that overpriced place she likes, the one where they draw little hearts in the foam. I showed up 15 minutes early and ordered a black coffee that cost $8. Worth it. When Victoria arrived, she had that look, the one people get when they're preparing to deliver bad news. She started with small talk about the wedding venue and asked if I was doing okay after the breakup. She mentioned that Marcus told her Olivia, and I had grown apart and decided to end things. Mutual decision, very mature, she said. I nodded along and let her finish. Then I asked if she wanted to see what actually happened. Her face when I showed her the first few texts, that slow realization, the color draining from her cheeks. She kept saying there must be some mistake, some context she was missing. I didn't push. I just handed her my phone and let her scroll through it all herself. I watched her wedding ring twist nervously around her finger. When she finally looked up, her eyes were dry, but her hands were shaking. She asked if Marcus had done this before. That's when I hesitated. Not because I didn't know the answer, but because saying it out loud felt like crossing a line. But Marcus had crossed every line imaginable. So I told her about Jessica from college, about our cousin's friend at the beach house 2 summers ago, about his ex who mysteriously became interested in his roommate. Pattern established. Victoria left the coffee shop with my phone number and copies of everything. She didn't cry, didn't yell, just asked for time to think. I gained unexpected respect for her in that moment. Phase 2 required accessing our family photo cloud. Mom set it up years ago so we could all share holiday pictures. Nobody ever changed the password. Mom's birthday. Super secure. I found the folder from Thanksgiving 3 years ago when Marcus brought his coworker Hannah after telling everyone his girlfriend at the time couldn't make it. There they were, arm in arm by the fireplace, while his actual girlfriend was sick at home. Then there were the New Year's party photos where he cornered our neighbor's daughter in the kitchen, and the camping trip where he disappeared for hours with my friend's sister. Evidence, pattern, history. Uncle Timothy was trickier. He's always seen Marcus as the son he never had. I had to be strategic. I called him on the pretext of asking for career advice. We met at his country club on Tuesday after work. He ordered scotch and offered me one. I accepted even though I hate the stuff. Uncle Timothy started with the usual questions about my career trajectory and whether I had management aspirations. Standard Timothy talk. I let him go through his routine before steering the conversation to Marcus's upcoming promotion. I asked if he was concerned about nepotism accusations. Uncle Timothy bristled and said Marcus had earned everything on merit. Perfect opening. I mentioned hearing rumors about how Marcus secured the Riverfront account last quarter. I said I was concerned about my brother's reputation. Concerned his family. Uncle Timothy's eyebrows furrowed as he asked what rumors. I pulled up a screenshot I'd saved ages ago. Marcus bragging to Olivia about taking credit for work his team did, another about using company resources for personal stuff. Nothing illegal, just ethically murky enough to raise questions. Uncle Timothy stared at the phone for a long time. He finished his scotch and ordered another. By the time we left, he was asking pointed questions about other accounts Marcus handled, whether I had more examples, whether anyone else knew. Seeds planted. Mom invited everyone for dinner Thursday night. Family tradition when someone's going through a rough patch. That someone being me, supposedly. I hadn't seen Marcus since the incident. I wasn't sure if he'd show, but he did. He walked in 30 minutes late with bloodshot eyes and wrinkled clothes. He hugged Mom extra long and avoided looking at me. When Dad asked about Victoria, Marcus said she was busy with work. His phone kept buzzing throughout the evening. He'd check it, frown, and put it away. Throughout dinner, I was the perfect son. I helped Mom with dishes, asked Dad about his back problems, and brought out the board games after dessert. Meanwhile, Marcus kept getting texts and becoming more agitated. Finally, he excused himself to take a call in the backyard. Through the kitchen window, I could see him gesturing and pacing. When he came back inside, his face was gray. Mom asked if everything was okay, and Marcus forced a smile and said it was just work stuff. Nothing important. Then he shot me a look like he was trying to see inside my head. I smiled back and rolled the dice for my turn and risk. By 10 p.m., Marcus was a wreck, sweating and checking his phone constantly. He made an excuse about an early meeting and left abruptly. Dad commented that Marcus seemed stressed. I shrugged and said something about the pressures of success. Friday morning at 5 a.m., I received my first text from Olivia in over a week. "We need to talk, please call me." I deleted it without responding. At 9:37 a.m., a text came in from Marcus. "Whatever you're doing, you need to stop. This isn't funny anymore." I took a screenshot and saved it. No response. At 11:42 a.m., I had a missed call from Uncle Timothy. At 1:15 p.m., I received an email from Victoria asking to meet again. By 3:22 p.m., I had 6 missed calls from Marcus. At 4 p.m., Mom texted asking if I knew why Marcus and Victoria were taking a break. I met Victoria at a diner near her apartment Saturday morning. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Hair pulled back, no makeup, eyes puffy. She'd confronted Marcus. He denied everything at first, then when shown evidence, claimed it was just flirting, nothing physical. Then when pressed, he admitted to one mistake with Olivia. Victoria had done her own digging after our coffee and found other messages, other women. She had called off the engagement privately but hadn't told the families yet. She wasn't angry with me. She said I'd saved her from a lifetime of being cheated on. She asked what else I knew and what else I was planning. I told her I wasn't planning anything, just sharing the truth with people who deserve to know it. We split a plate of curly fries and talked about her canceled venue deposit and her sister's relief. Apparently, she never liked Marcus. By the end, she even laughed once. As I was paying the bill, my phone lit up with another call from Marcus. Victoria saw his name and her expression hardened. She said I should take it. She wanted to hear his voice now that she knew the real him. I answered on speaker and said hello like nothing was wrong. Marcus's voice came through desperate and slurred, despite it being 11 o'clock in the morning. He was asking what the hell I'd done, saying Victoria had returned the ring, saying Uncle Timothy was questioning his accounts at work, asking why I was trying to ruin his life. I looked at Victoria. She nodded slightly. I told Marcus I wasn't ruining anything, just showing people who he really was. The same courtesy he'd shown me when telling Olivia I was a weakling. He started yelling, called me jealous and pathetic, said Olivia had been unhappy for months anyway. I hung up and turned to Victoria, who was gripping her coffee mug so tight I thought it might break. She said very quietly that she was supposed to marry him in 9 months and would have had kids with him. She thanked me again. I drove home to my motel room feeling hollow. Victory doesn't taste like I thought it would. By 4:27 p.m. today, I had 21 missed calls, 17 text messages, and voicemails I haven't listened to. Most were from Olivia, some from Marcus, and one from Uncle Timothy asking me to call him about the Marcus situation. The latest text from Olivia came in while I was typing this. "Please answer. I made a terrible mistake. He lied to me about everything. You weren't supposed to find out like that. He planned it that way. I didn't know. Please, Nathan, I'm begging you." Too little too late? Mom called an hour ago. She said Marcus showed up at their house drunk and Dad had to drive him home. She wanted to know what was going on. I told her I'd explain everything tomorrow. I'm bringing printouts of everything, letting her and Dad see who their golden boy really is. They called me weak. Turns out I'm just patient. This isn't over yet. That promotion is still on the table. Our extended family still thinks he's perfect, and I haven't even started on Olivia yet. Part 3 coming when the dust settles a bit. Right now, I need to find a real apartment. I can't keep living with the Call of Duty couple next door. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. Uncle Timothy called me into his office the following Monday. The family resemblance between him and my dad is uncanny. Same frown line, same way of tapping fingers when uncomfortable. His office smells like leather and that weird air freshener that's supposed to smell like success, but really just smells like vanilla trying too hard to have an identity crisis. He didn't waste time. "I've been looking into Marcus's accounts," he said. "There are discrepancies." Uncle Timothy explained that while nothing illegal had happened, Marcus had been taking credit for other people's work, inflating numbers, and using company resources for personal matters. Typical Marcus stuff that looks fine until you really examine it. The promotion was officially on hold. Uncle Timothy looked genuinely disappointed. He said he'd always seen himself in Marcus, ambitious, outgoing, confident. Now he wasn't sure what he was seeing. I almost told him not to be too hard on Marcus. The words were right there, ready to forgive like I always did. Then I remembered Marcus's laugh as I packed my things into trash bags. I remembered Olivia's dismissive eye roll. I kept my mouth shut. Victoria texted last Wednesday asking to meet for coffee again. She said she had something to return to me. We met at a Caribou Coffee this time. Less pretentious, better pastries. She looked different. Her haircut was shorter. She had new glasses. And there was a slight smile when she saw me rather than the haunted look from our last meeting. She handed me a small box. Inside was a watch, the one I gave Marcus for his 30th birthday. I had saved up for months to buy it. Victoria explained that when she went to Marcus's apartment to collect her things, she saw the watch and remembered me mentioning how much it meant. She thought I should have it back. We talked for nearly 2 hours, not about Marcus, but about everything else. Her job teaching 3rd grade, my childhood dream of restoring classic motorcycles, the terrible reality show we both secretly watch. Normal conversation. I hadn't realized how much I'd been missing that. As I was leaving, she hesitated, then said something unexpected. Thank you for saving me from making the biggest mistake of my life. I was so focused on the wedding I forgot to look at who I was marrying. I told her she deserved better. She said so did I. We parted with an awkward side hug in the parking lot. No romantic interest, just 2 people united by dodging the same bullet. The most surprising development came from Olivia's roommate, Lily. She messaged me on Instagram, asking if I'd meet her to pick up some of my stuff Olivia hadn't thrown out. She said she was uncomfortable having my things in their apartment. I met her at a park bench during her lunch break. She brought a small box with my favorite hoodie, some books, and random desk stuff in a TJ Maxx shopping bag. As I thanked her, she blurted out, "She's been lying to you for months." Lily explained that Marcus had been coming over since January, that Olivia had been planning to break up with me, but was waiting until she had a better option secured, that they laughed about me together in their apartment. Then came the kicker. Marcus ghosted Olivia immediately after I left. He blocked her number and told her it was just a game to prove he could take her from me. Olivia had been devastated and humiliated, realizing she'd thrown away 18 months for someone who saw her as nothing but a pawn. Lily looked genuinely confused. "I don't get why you're not answering her calls," she said. "She really loved you. She just made a mistake." I stared at her, wondering if she was serious. I asked if she would take back someone who laughed while throwing her belongings into trash bags. She didn't have an answer. Before leaving, Lily mentioned she was looking for a new roommate, that things with Olivia had become unbearable. She asked if I knew anyone looking for a place. I told her I had actually just signed the lease for a new apartment yesterday. Old building, squeaky floors, but it's mine. No backstabbing roommates included. She smiled and said that was good to hear. She asked if I wanted to grab dinner sometime, just as friends. I said maybe, not ready for anything. Even friendship feels complicated right now. She understood, but gave me her number anyway. Last night was the first family dinner since everything exploded. Mom insisted, saying we needed to start healing. Dad grilled those steak kebabs he thinks are fancy because he uses wooden sticks instead of metal ones. Aunt Clara brought her famous potato salad that always gives everyone heartburn, but nobody has the heart to tell her. Marcus wasn't there. When I asked where he was, Mom got that tight look around her eyes and said he was taking some time to reevaluate his choices. She mentioned he'd moved in with a friend temporarily after Uncle Timothy put him on probation at work. Dad changed the subject to my new apartment, asked about the square footage like he always does. Aunt Clara commented that I looked healthier. Uncle Timothy mentioned a position opening up in his company that might interest me. It wasn't until dessert that Mom finally addressed the elephant in the room. "We failed you both," she said quietly. "Marcus by giving him too much. You by not seeing what was happening." I didn't know what to say to that. I just nodded and ate my pie. As I was leaving, Dad handed me an envelope. Inside was cash, enough for new furniture. He said it was long overdue, that sometimes parents realize too late which child actually needed the support. I tried to give it back, but he wouldn't take it. He said it wasn't charity, it was an apology. I took it and thanked him, though I still don't know how I feel about it. This morning, I finally blocked Olivia's number. Before I did, I read her final text. "I know you'll never forgive me. I wouldn't forgive me either. Just want you to know that losing you was the biggest mistake of my life. He never wanted me. He just wanted to hurt you. And I helped him. I have to live with that forever." I stared at those words for a long time. I felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, just emptiness where 18 months of feelings used to be. I hit block, took a breath, and finished unpacking my new apartment. So that's it. The revenge is complete. The aftermath still ongoing. Marcus's life isn't ruined forever. He'll bounce back eventually. People like him always do. But for once, he's facing actual consequences. He lost his fiancée, lost his promotion, and lost the golden child status. Olivia lost what she thought was a backup plan, and then lost what she actually had. I lost an illusion and gained some clarity. Am I completely over it? No. I still wake up sometimes reaching for someone who isn't there. I still feel that humiliation when I remember Marcus's laugh in my bedroom. I still wonder what was real and what wasn't in those 18 months. But I'm sleeping better in my new place. The water pressure is garbage, and the neighbors have a kid learning trumpet, but it's mine. No backstabbers allowed. I asked Lily to dinner next week, just as friends, taking it slow. I hung that watch Victoria returned on my wall. It's a reminder that some things look valuable until you see what they actually cost. One last thing. Yesterday, I ran into a guy from high school who always thought Marcus was God's gift to humanity. He asked how my super successful brother was doing these days. I just smiled and said he's going through some changes. I didn't elaborate. I didn't have to. For the first time in my life, I don't feel like the lesser brother. I don't feel like the weakling. Turns out the strongest people aren't the ones who take whatever they want. They're the ones who know exactly when to stop giving.